Archangel Michael says, "Have you been feeling a heaviness you can't explain? Did your body shiver last night for no reason? Have you looked around your home lately and sensed something? Watching? Do you wake up at the same hour every single night, wondering why? Do you feel like something invisible has been pressing on your life, yet you can't describe it to anyone? Then stop scrolling, because this is not a drill. This is not a test. This is not coincidence. You are not imagining the spiritual weight you've been carrying. It is real. And I, Archangel Michael, have come to reveal why. You were chosen, not to be punished, but to be trusted. You were not cursed. You were commissioned. That burden, yes, the one that nearly crushed your back and made you cry in secret, that wasn't random. It was sent to you, because you are the only one who can carry it into victory. But hear me now. Heaven is no longer whispering. We are shouting. We are ringing alarms in the spirit. This is the moment you've been spiritually trained for, whether you realized it or not. I have been circling your house. My sword is not sheathed. This is not about fear. This is about revelation. The very thing you thought would destroy you is actually the proof that you are chosen. I saw what they said behind your back. I recorded the betrayal. And I still picked you to rise. You have less time than you think. Open your spirit. Because what I'm about to say next will make sense of everything. 3 on 33, divine alert has been issued. Type, "I'm ready," if you're feeling this in your chest. Archangel Michael says, you've mistaken it for depression. You've called it exhaustion. You've even blamed age, hormones, stress, or loss. But what you're feeling is not simply emotional. It's ancestral. It's spiritual. It's prophetic. You are carrying a burden that didn't start with you. And yet, heaven chose you to finish it. Let me speak plainly. This burden, the aching, the invisible heaviness, the warfare that never seems to take a day off, it has been in your bloodline for generations. It was passed from mother to daughter, father to son. Each one before you tried to handle it, but they lacked one thing: divine authority. But you, beloved child, were born with a different fire. I was there when the pain first entered your lineage. I saw the door that was opened. It was small at first, a moment of trauma, a betrayal, a lie spoken in secret. But it welcomed in a pattern, and that pattern grew stronger with every unhealed heart. You were born into a battlefield disguised as a family. That's why relationships always feel complicated. That's why trust is hard for you. That's why sleep sometimes feels like war, and mornings feel like climbing out of cement. Because you weren't just born into a body, you were born into a spiritual inheritance. Some inherit money. You inherited warfare, and yet you survived. Even when no one knew how close you were to collapsing under the weight, you survived. You showed up for others when no one showed up for you. You gave love when you barely had any for yourself. You carried the burden silently because you thought no one would believe it was real. But I saw it. Every heavy sigh, every restless night, every fake smile that hid years of weariness. You asked, "God, why me?" And I was commanded to answer now. Because you are the only one in your lineage with the capacity to end the cycle. You are the one marked with fire. You are the one with divine clearance. The burden is not a punishment. It's a key. What crushed others will now crown you. The enemy tried to convince you that this pressure meant you were failing. But let me reveal a divine truth. Pressure is proof of purpose. Even diamonds are formed by pressure. Even oil is released only when the olive is crushed. You thought you were being broken, but heaven says you were being prepared. There is a reason others didn't survive what you've endured, because the mission you carry requires sensitivity, resilience, and divine anger against injustice. You have all three. That's why your emotions are deep. That's why your sleep is interrupted. That's why you notice what others don't. Because your spirit was built to detect war before it starts. Do you understand now? The generational trauma was never meant to stop with you. It was meant to be interrupted by you. The bitterness that poisoned your ancestors' relationships? You were born to break it. The silence that allowed secrets to rot your family's core? You were born to expose it. The pain that kept being passed down like a hidden curse? You were born to destroy it in full view. And that's why the burden has been heavy. Because it's been pulling against a stronghold, and you are the only one strong enough to pull it down. I was dispatched because you cried out, even if only in your mind. You asked for clarity. You asked for help. You asked if this would ever lift. And now I answer, yes. But only if you stop pretending you're not in the fight. This is not the time for pretending. This is not the time for spiritual apathy. The truth is, you were chosen because you have heaven's blueprint within you. You've seen it in dreams. You've felt it in random flashes of strength. You've even had moments when you wanted to give up, and something stopped you. That wasn't coincidence. That was me. I blocked the accident. I canceled the phone call. I delayed the letter. Because it wasn't time yet. But now, it is. You've been positioned by generations of angels to stand in a place your ancestors only dreamed of. You are the last defense before the same pain repeats itself in the next generation. The enemy hoped you'd stay silent. He hoped the trauma would paralyze you. He hoped religion would make you passive and rituals would distract you. But heaven has heard your private cry. And I, Archangel Michael, have arrived to tell you. This is the day everything shifts. The burden will begin to break not because it's light, but because you've been anointed to lift what others could not. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not cursed. You are called. You are trusted. You are known in heaven by name. And the moment you receive this truth, the burden will begin to feel different. Not gone, but transformed. No longer a chain, now a calling. This is the weight of the chosen, and you have been chosen. Type, I carry it with purpose if your soul knows this was for you. Type 777 to declare, this burden will break the cycle. Archangel Michael says, let's speak plainly now, because time is not on your side, and heaven is no longer whispering. The burden you've carried, it didn't show up by accident. It didn't fall into your lap just because you were strong enough. It was assigned, and it came with a choice. It would either break you or build you. Let me say this again, child. This was never neutral. This was war. A war in the spirit. A war for legacy. A war for identity. And that war has always centered around you. Because you are the turning point. You are the one heaven bet on. You are the one hell fears most. And that is why the burden came early. Do you remember the first time you felt out of place? The first time you were blamed for something you didn't do? The first time you sensed things in people's tone that they never said aloud? That was the moment of activation. The moment darkness recognized your light. The burden didn't come when you failed. It came when you were anointed. I saw the whole thing. You were never meant to carry shame. But the enemy knew if he could twist your perspective early, he could convince you that the weight was your fault. But listen to me now. The weight was never your fault. But how you carry it will determine your future. You've been wrestling in silence. You've called it overthinking. But really, it's oversensing. You feel everything, because the burden sharpened your spirit. You cry more than others, because the burden cleansed your heart. You're more tired than your peers, because the burden cost more than they know. This isn't weakness. This is the shaping of a warrior. There are things you see that others don't. You've walked into rooms and instantly knew who wasn't safe. You've stayed silent even when you knew the truth, because the burden trained you in restraint. You didn't just survive hard times, you were shaped by them. Let me show you the truth. The burden was sent to your house to destroy peace. But instead it taught you to recognize false peace. It was meant to shatter your heart, but instead it revealed who was really for you. It was meant to drive you insane, but instead it drove you to prayer. That's why you're still here. That's why you're still breathing. That's why this message found you today. Because what was meant to break you built a foundation instead. You are not the victim of this burden. You are the one who will redeem it. Do you know why I was sent? Because the enemy saw that you started to believe again. He noticed when you stopped numbing your pain and started praying with clarity. He noticed when you deleted the number, blocked the access, stopped explaining yourself. He saw the shift. And he panicked. Because when a wounded soul finally chooses alignment with heaven, all of hell's plans unravel. That's why your warfare increased. That's why sleep got harder. That's why the phone rang from people you hadn't heard from in years. Not because it was random, but because the moment you got close to breakthrough, darkness scrambled to distract you. But let me tell you the truth. Heaven does not panic. Heaven prepares. And I, Archangel Michael, was dispatched ahead of your next decision. Because this time the stakes are higher. This time the wrong move could entangle the next 7 years of your life. But don't be afraid. Because I did not come with a warning alone. I came with a sword. I came with strategy. The burden has built discernment in you. You've become a spiritual surgeon, able to detect lies, silence noise, and hold peace under fire. That's why the enemy hates you. You don't need to shout to shake the atmosphere. You don't need to fight people. You fight in the spirit. You carry a presence now. That's why they stare at you in stores. That's why even animals react to you differently. That's why people overshare around you and say, I don't know why I'm telling you this. Because your soul has been marked. And now it's time you realize the full truth. This burden was a sacred fire. You either let it consume you, or you let it refine you. You've done both. You've been burned. But now, you're being forged. What once made you cry will now fuel your purpose. What once made you question your worth will now become your weapon. What once sat on your chest like a crushing weight will now rise from your tongue like prophetic fire. The burden isn't lighter yet, but now it has shape. Now it has identity. Now it's under your authority. Say this out loud. This burden is not my end. It is my evidence. Heaven is watching. Hell is trembling. The ancestors are leaning in. The veil is thinning. You were not chosen because you were perfect. You were chosen because you would not die in the fire. You were chosen because you would crawl through pain and still worship. You were chosen because you would weep and still listen to instruction. This burden was never meant to end your life. It was designed to begin your leadership. You are the intercessor. You are the chain breaker. You are the spiritual lion in a bloodline of lambs. You were chosen to carry it, to confront it, to redeem it, and now, to release it. Type, I survived the fire, if this chapter spoke to your battle. Type 888 to declare, now I build. Archangel Michael says, you didn't know it when you said it, but heaven did. When you whispered, God, help me. When you muttered, I can't do this alone. When you fell asleep after crying so hard your body ached. You didn't realize what you were doing in the spirit. You were saying yes. And when a soul says yes, even in weariness, even in confusion, even in silence, heaven moves. I, Archangel Michael, was dispatched that very hour. Not because you performed some perfect prayer, not because you quoted scripture, but because you surrendered. And surrender, real surrender, moves armies. You didn't see the shift in the atmosphere when you sat still that night. You didn't see the sword that was drawn in your defense. You didn't feel the ripple that went out from your house to the halls of heaven. But I did. When you said yes, even if it sounded like, I don't know what to do anymore, even if it came from a hospital bed, a cold kitchen floor, or a silent car parked in the dark, that yes activated the realm. Heaven has been waiting for your agreement, not with the problem, but with the assignment. Because you are not the victim of this battle. You are the warrior embedded in it. And now that you've said yes, willingly or not, I am here. My sword is not symbolic. My wings are not poetic. I don't come for decoration. I come to war. Because the moment you agreed with the calling, the enemy agreed to retaliate. He knew what your yes would do. Your yes broke the cycle in the bloodline. Your yes made demons assigned to your family lose jurisdiction. Your yes shifted the spiritual structure around your home. That's why you've felt pressure. That's why you've seen tension rise in people close to you. That's why strange things started happening the moment you chose alignment. Because once you said yes, darkness had no more hidden ground. Do you understand what you carry? This isn't church. This isn't inspiration. This is command warfare. You have entered a sacred realm of responsibility. And that's why I've been circling your dwelling. You didn't see me, but you felt me. You felt chills and called it the air conditioning. You heard your name and blamed your imagination. You felt a pressure on your chest and thought it was stress. But child, that was the moment your yes echoed in the spirit. And I was dispatched, sword drawn, eyes flaming, protection ignited. Let me reveal something to you. You have survived not because the storm was weak, but because I blocked what you couldn't see. The accident that didn't happen, the call you didn't receive, the betrayal that didn't finish its course. That was me, enforcing the contract your yes created. I guarded your nights. I silenced lies. I confused enemies. I delayed what was meant to destroy you. And I stood at your doorway while you slept, because you said yes. This burden, the one you've been dragging like a chained weight, was never meant to stay heavy. It was meant to reveal your rank. And now, I speak to your spirit directly. You have been promoted in the unseen realm. You are no longer just a survivor. You are a sent one, a breaker, a protector, a mouthpiece. You are being awakened not just to receive miracles, but to command them. You don't just pray now. You decree. You don't just cry now. You legislate. You don't just hope now. You prophesy. You have stepped into divine authority. That's why your life feels disrupted. That's why you're sensitive to noise. That's why you've lost interest in conversations that waste your anointing, because heaven is aligning your world with your yes. And that alignment will offend everything demonic still trying to hide near you. Don't be afraid. That tension you feel isn't danger, it's displacement. The enemy is nervous. People aligned with darkness will get agitated. Hidden agendas will surface. Masks will fall. Because I, Michael, am now stationed at your side. And when I stand somewhere, falsehood can't stay long. Some of you will experience dreams that shake you. Some of you will hear truths you were never supposed to know. Some of you will notice patterns breaking in real time. That's not coincidence. That's your yes taking form. Let me tell you what heaven saw. You were picked not because of perfection, but because of persistence. You were the one who wouldn't quit. You were the one who still whispered God even when you didn't feel him. You were the one who didn't retaliate when revenge made more sense. You were the one who showed up anyway. And for that, your yes has been written into heaven's record. That yes was costly. It cost your comfort. It cost certain relationships. It cost your time, your tears. But it brought you favor, protection, and spiritual authority that can't be bought or faked. You were not called to beg heaven for scraps. You were called to partner with heaven's armies. And now, you will begin to notice something. Doors will open, but only the ones you speak to. Enemies will fall, but only when you stop fearing them. Answers will come, but only when you move in boldness, not confusion. Because now you don't just carry the burden, you carry the backing of angels. I will not retreat unless you send me away. Your prayers activate my sword. Your obedience sharpens my edge. Your faith expands my reach. The angel was dispatched because you agreed. You may not have realized it, but your surrender signed a contract. And heaven intends to fulfill every clause. So rise up now. Stop walking like you're unsure. Stop shrinking back when you're being called forward. You're not alone. You never were. The angel has already been dispatched. I have not been standing near your house for nothing. I do not draw my sword unless there is something sacred to defend. And you are sacred. You were chosen. And your yes was the beginning of everything shifting. Type, "Heaven has my yes" if this chapter confirmed what you felt in secret. Type 9999 to declare, "The angel has been dispatched." Archangel Michael says, "You saw brokenness. Heaven saw beauty being forged. You saw delay. Heaven saw divine timing. You saw silence. Heaven saw the training of a voice that would one day shake atmospheres. Child, you've judged your journey through the lens of pain, but now I've come to shift your view, because what you thought was punishment was preparation, and what you called rejection was divine redirection. Let me show you what heaven saw. When you were alone in your room, questioning your worth, heaven saw a warrior practicing resilience. When you apologized too much for things that weren't your fault, heaven saw a heart being refined in humility. When you walked away from arguments to keep peace, heaven saw a general learning restraint. You only saw the storm, but heaven saw the strength it would take to calm it. You looked at your reflection and saw someone who had been used, betrayed, and underestimated. But when heaven looked at you, it saw a leader who could stand even after loss, a chosen one who could carry fire without burning those around them. You've been harder on yourself than heaven has ever been. But today I've been commanded to pull back the curtain. Let me tell you what we saw. We saw you sit at hospital bedsides when no one else showed up. We saw you protect people who would later turn around and attack you. We saw you give your last to people who never said thank you. And heaven wrote it down. None of it was wasted. Every act of kindness, every silent prayer, every tear you didn't think mattered. Heaven recorded everyone. You thought no one saw you trying. But we did. You thought your faith was too weak to count. But we saw the strength it took to believe even just a little. You may have thought you failed because the blessing hasn't arrived yet. But hear me, beloved. Delay is not denial. Sometimes heaven holds things back because the version of you that would have received it wasn't ready to keep it. You had to grow into your authority. You had to shed survival so you could wear strategy. And now, you're ready. That's what heaven saw that you didn't. We saw the readiness developing in the background of your battles. We saw the shift in your spirit even while your circumstances stayed the same. We saw the maturity forming while the money stayed tight. We saw the discernment sharpening while the confusion swirled. You've been focused on what hasn't come, but we've been focused on what's already within. You kept praying for the door, but heaven was preparing the you who could walk through it with authority. You think heaven only celebrates when you succeed, but we shouted when you stood back up. We rejoiced when you refused to hate. We danced when you chose peace. Because heaven doesn't just reward results. Heaven rewards alignment. Now hear this. You've been afraid that you missed it. That somehow, the delays, the decisions, the distractions cost you your destiny. But I was sent to correct that lie. You have not missed what's yours. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too old. The promise still holds. You see only your side of the journey. But we see the ripple effect of your choices. How one yes on a tired Tuesday altered the future of your bloodline. How one "I forgive them" shifted the atmosphere in your home. How one night of not giving up triggered the dispatch of another angel on your behalf. Child, you've changed more than you realize. You see just the surface. But heaven sees beneath. We see the fear you faced and the courage it took to keep going. We see the smile you offer while hiding heartbreak. We see how often you've said "I'm fine" when your soul was screaming. That's why I was sent today. To tell you what we've been seeing that you've been missing. You haven't just been going through hard times. You've been going through transformation. Heaven does not waste pain. It repurposes it. That's why the oil you carry now feels costly, because it was. You didn't just survive a season. You became someone who can shift seasons. And now you must understand this. There are blessings hovering above your life, waiting for your understanding to catch up to your authority. Heaven wants to give you what you're ready to steward. You have passed the test of endurance. Now it's time to move into strategy. What does that mean? It means start walking like what you carry matters. Speak like you're heard. Pray like angels are listening. Decide like delay is no longer your portion. Move like time is on your side, because it is. What heaven saw that you didn't is that you're no longer the same person who started this journey. You are wiser. You are sharper. You are safer to bless. And now, I must say this with a voice wrapped in flame. Don't sabotage what you've been prepared for. Don't return to what once tolerated you. Don't apologize for the new boundaries. Don't explain your growth to those who benefited from your silence. You are moving forward now, because heaven has not only seen your journey, heaven has validated your mission. You were never overlooked. You were being watched over. I have stood beside you for years, waiting for this day. The day when you would see what we've always seen in you. And now that you know, act like it. Pray like it. Move like it. What heaven saw in you is about to manifest through you. Type, "Heaven saw me," if this word unwrapped something sacred in you. Type 111 to declare, "I walk now in what I carry." Archangel Michael says, "You made it here." And that's not just endurance, it's evidence. Evidence that your spirit is alive, sensitive, awakened. Evidence that what tried to destroy you only revealed your divine assignment. Now hear me, child of purpose. This is the reason. You were not chosen to carry this burden to suffer. You were chosen to carry it because you were the only one strong enough to break it. Not by accident, not as punishment, but as strategy. Your pain had a purpose. Your silence held power. Your yes moved heaven. You asked why you were born into this family. Why betrayal keeps finding you. Why heaviness clings to your mornings. And I, Michael, tell you now, because you were the interruption, the divine disruption, the one anointed to stop what swallowed everyone else. The burden? It was never just about you. It was about the generations after you. It was about legacy, about closing doors that should have never been opened, about restoring honor, healing shame, unlocking glory. You are heaven's rebuttal, heaven's no more, and your life will testify of that. From this day forward, do not walk like a survivor, walk like a sender. You don't just endure storms, you command atmospheres. The angel didn't come to comfort you in weakness. I came to remind you of your weight in the spirit, because now you know. And now that you know, you must act, you must rise, you must carry the burden with intention. Type, "I was chosen for this," if this sealed something in your soul. And declare with faith, 777, breakthrough is now, the reason has arrived. Reason.